pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time I'd like to have a moment of silence on our military, firefighters, sheriff deputies, road workers, and the victims of the Oregon District shooting that happened a year ago today. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee McLaughlin. Trustee McGuire.
Yes, present.
Trustee Mann.
Present.
Okay, in old business, we have the Ohio Public Works grant.
Good evening, trustees and fiscal officer and community. 2 weeks ago, I understand that trustees voted to approve accepting the Derby Road construction, phase 2 project. Was that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So in your packets is an example of an agreement that happens to be one with the city of Kettering for you to review as an example. What the OPWC will be sending is a complete exact copy from 2019 that you signed and approved, and also the promissory note was attested to by the fiscal officer that the money was available when this grant was applied. So they're going to need your approval to be able to allow the fiscal officer to sign the same agreement for 2020 so the project will proceed. But I needed to bring it to you trustees first so you understand the process, at which time the OPWC will work directly with the fiscal officer to prepare that paperwork. Choice One Engineering is in partnership under the Ohio Revised Code to work with the county engineer. So Paul Gruner, county engineer of Montgomery County, is going to be, and his staff is going to be leading the project in conjunction with Choice One. This is normal practice for any Ohio money that comes to the county and comes to a local community. So we'll have 2 eyeballs on the project. Also, it has been discovered that the bridge at the bottom of Derby Road phase 2 project is owned by the county. It was not determined last year at this time. So there'll be some project work there as well. They're working presently together to get credit from the paving that you've already done in that area in terms of the deep patch. So I don't have any of those, none of us have been given any of that information as of yet because this has happened so quick. How you received the grant was simple. A lot of cities are hurting badly because they lost all their taxes and their hotels, motel tax, a lot of gas tax that feeds your road departments. And so they backed off of their large projects, and the extra money floated down to all the townships. I'm aware that almost every township in Montgomery County got at least 1 grant, which is very unusual out of this grant project because we compete against the city of Dayton, every city, Kettering, Centerville, Inglewood, and so we don't score very high on our projects. So that's how you were funded. So all I need is you can vote in the regular meeting if you'd like, but you have to at least make a verbal agreement to allow the fiscal officer to work with OPWC to get the paperwork ready, and sent back in a timely manner. And only the fiscal officer can sign those documents. So do you have any questions about the project itself?
So the next step is Choice One's gonna do the engineering.
Yeah, they're going to do it in conjunction. They've already gave a price quote to the Montgomery County engineer, and then the engineer will flow all money through them. And so we'll be paying the engineer the county engineer, and then that money, of course, it's grant money and our money. but that money will then be distributed to Choice One and the vendor that they bid the project for. Right now, the projects that have already got underway, that were funded in 2019, here and starting in COVID 220, their prices are coming in much lower. So we don't know where we're going to end up as a township. We just know it can't be any higher than what you approved. The fiscal officer approved you to sign the promissory note last year. So it can't go any higher, but it could come in lower, plus the credit for the the recent paving, as I mentioned before. So that's the step you have to take now, is just give a verbal vote that the fiscal officer can work with OPWC, and then I'll make sure that they connect. But you can look through that proposal that's in your packet, just as an example of what Kettering is doing on one of their projects. And that's all I have today for OPWC.
Does that include the Derby Road Phase 2, or is that a separate issue you still need to go over?
No, that's all part of it. There is one other question that you have to answer, and you don't need an answer today. By November 1 of 2020, the new funding period of 2020 is open for a new bid. So if you want another project looked at, another road looked at, whether you receive grant money on that road project or not, you don't know. You have to reapply. But when you apply, it costs you nothing, because your engineering company that does the work does not bill you for any of that pre-engineering book or the application, as Choice One did not charge you. It's only when you get the funding that, eventually they get paid for their work. If you never get the grant, you don't owe anybody any money. But if we don't put in, as I said before, you'll never get an issue 2 project on your own. And this is the first one on your own you've ever received for Derby. Last year, if you remember, we did Derby Phase 1, which was well over $1.5 million between Germantown and Kimmel. And then Phase 2, which is what you received, is a smaller section, a little easier to handle financially. That project of the $1 million project plus $1 million project almost finished last on the project list. So if you want to work on the rest of these sections of Derby, I would suggest we start thinking about taking it into phases. Phase 2, Phase 3, or Phase 4, and decide where those phases are. That way you can apply for a smaller amount of money and probably have a little possibility of a little more success than trying to go to, something that we can't handle financially. But you have some time, but you don't have a lot of time. We're sitting in August, and the entire application has to be in by November. That's all I have.
You got the floor. Can you go over the 2019 and 18 grass assessments and grass assessment credits?
Yes. I need a verbal okay to go ahead and prepare those assessments and give them to the fiscal officer to submit to the county. You can wait to vote on that in the regular meeting if you'd like. We have the grass assessments for the work that's been done in nuisance cleanups for 2019 to assess here in 2020, and we have credits to return to some residents where there was a malfunction or a misbilling by previous staff that we have to correct for those residents. And so we'll have 2 separate resolutions if you give me the approval to do that. The county auditor and treasurer are waiting on it, as they are every community at this time of the year. So they can go ahead and provide a credit to those that were malfunctioned and provide new charges to the 2019 work that was done last year. The list is finished, and it looks like about $51,000 of assessments have been compiled for all the work done since last year. Again, 2020 is not included. It's strictly what work was done in 2019. So I'll need an okay to go ahead and prepare those so I can give those to the fiscal officer to apply to the county.
The last thing on old business, mail procedures, looks like this is to you, trustee Mann.
Okay, we talked the last meeting about open the mail, that the fiscal officer was gonna open the mail. But the question came up about if there's a mail for the trustees, then that mail's gotta go to our president of the board. If something comes up for the administrator, and his name is on that mail, and the same as the fire chief, that mail needs to go to those individuals. Now, in talking about this, maybe when the mail comes in, and if the administrative assistant is opening, or not opening, but she's recording the mail, then those letters can be put in those individuals' mailbox. And then that list can be given to the fiscal officer, who will have a copy of what came in, even though she may not have gotten those particular letters. But we've got to watch. If mail comes in for someone, we need to give that mail to that individual. And especially if there's a letter that's got to be signed for. You have anything to say about that?
I just think we need to track it better. I guess we had legal correspondence that was opened by the wrong party. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Edwards, do you have any comments?
It doesn't matter what I say, you guys don't pay attention, so I'm out of it.
Okay, do we need do a resolution on this issue, or are we just gonna?
Well, you can prepare one here in the work session, but if you want one, you have to do it in the regular meeting to pass it.
Okay,
So if you are setting up a new standard, then you need to right now write down exactly what you want, and that way it goes on to the resolution.
all right.
So I can record it if you'd like, but well, it's got to go on to do you have any paper up there that you can write the resolution out?
Okay, I will get a notepad.
That way everybody follows the same procedure on paper and it's adopted by the trustees in the regular meeting.
Okay,
Why don't we,
I'm sorry.
you want to just, I guess we need this tonight.
Well, Mr. Mann, had addressed the problem with my staff, and we just want a directive on how to do it. Because, staff have come to me and saying they've been blamed sometimes for stuff that didn't happen. So we need a procedure so everybody follows the same procedure.
Okay.
Comfortable putting that together? Okay. Any other old business? Seeing as there is none, new business.
I have one. I'm in this. I sent you guys an email, I don't know if you want to discuss it now, or you guys need to go back. It was in the resolution 20-057. You approved at the last meeting. In that resolution, you approved to only hire 3 seasonal road workers. There's 4, the 4 seasonal road workers working for us now, and you guys didn't approve to do that.
That's going to be handled in tonight's regular meeting.
He's already worked for 73 hours. You guys didn't approve it. This is not the first time something like this has happened. You guys don't approve it and then they go ahead and work it anyway. Go ahead and do it anyway. This is, going to be written up in the audit because this has happened several times. And I just wanted to point this out to you guys, that if this continue to happen, something needs to be done about it.
Well, we've got that to take care of it in a regular meeting.
It's past the time, you passed the resolution, and then you take care of it in the meeting. You need to discuss it now. You're not voting right now, you need to discuss it now, and decide what you're gonna do about it.
Okay.
The resolution scratched out one employee. He worked for 2 weeks, it looks like. The resolution wasn't approved until the 21st of July, but he had
So
73 hours.
Your warning about throwing us on the bus with the auditors duly noted. We've, back to that discussion at the last meeting, Mr. Henry was removed from that resolution due to a question of nepotism. After legal review from Mr. Nathaniel Peterson, our attorney at the county, there was no nepotism or conflicts found. We also had resolution 20-055, which gave the administrator directive to hire immediately, which was carried out. 20-057 was not correct, in Mr. Nathaniel's opinion. He had issues with us altering that resolution.
So you're saying the 20-057 is not a valid resolution, even though you guys signed it?
Well, he had an issue with the fact that we scratched him from that resolution at that point in time, but we did that because of all the questions brought up around nepotism. We've worked that out. There's a resolution for tonight's new business
Why wasn't
to
that put
take
on
care of
the
Mr.
agenda?
Peterson.
Why wasn't that put on the agenda? That's not on the agenda. You guys signed this resolution. You guys need to also put that finding from the auditor, attorney in the photo for the auditors when they come, so it won't be additional work for somebody to have to search for when the time comes when they do an audit. That finding needs to be in there, in that, with that record. And that causes more work. You guys are never, none of the trustees are ever involved in the audit. You don't know how much work it takes for us to do this when all that data is not available. So that's why they need to be put in the records with this stuff, so that the auditors know when they come in here that that's has been determined. And you're still not following the procedures of when you add on stuff on the agenda, you need to have it put on the agenda. You have a resolution that needs to be put on the agenda in the beginning.
Any other new business?
I just have one. I received an email or a text just now from Mr. McLaughlin. I just saw it. It says 6:01. It says, "I'm not going to make it to the meeting." So I wanted that as part of the record.
Okay, we've been notified by Mr. Laughlin, he's not going to attend the meeting. Please say anything about the regular meeting.
No.
Okay. Move to adjourn work session.
I second the motion.
We adjourn 6:20.